Within every Jojo part, there exists enemy stand users who seek to stop our protagonists from reaching their goals. The rock humans, for example, always stood in the way of Josuke finding out the truth about the Wakakaka, and many stand users would constantly try to keep the Stardust Crusaders from reaching Dio. However, by far the most capable and dangerous of these groups is La Squadra, a criminal group tasked with many unsavory jobs over the years. With their knowledge and skills, it's no wonder they seek to grant their ambitions. These ambitions would be achieved with a plethora of powerful stand abilities they had at their disposal. So let's take a look at these stand abilities to see if they ever had any hope to take down the boss, aka Dia. Little Feet is a stand that's not all that remarkable in terms of physical power, but it makes up for it with a blade attached to his finger. The blade can obviously be used to inflict great pain, but it also has a special ability that makes it even more dangerous. When the blade makes contact with any object, they start to shrink in size. The shrinking is extremely gradual and slow, to the point that most people won't even realize it's happening. The clothing and stands of those affected shrink too. Once they get to a certain size, they are vulnerable to an insta-kill from Formaggio. If he wants to, Formaggio can reverse the shrinking process and return you to your normal size. This process is a lot faster. The shrinking will also occur regardless of the stand's range. Formaggio can shrink himself at a fast pace, allowing him to avoid certain attacks and sneak around certain areas. If he applies the stand to objects, it gives him the opportunity to do some creative assassinations. Man in the Mirror is a stand similar to Hanged Man, but unlike Hanged Man, Man in the Mirror's ability is a lot more dangerous. With the stand, Illusio can use reflective surfaces or objects to enter a mirror dimension. That's not all. He can also pull any object or individual inside the mirror dimension as well. Once they are in the mirror, they are pretty much defenseless. Not only can nobody in the outside world hear them, but Illusio can make it so not even their stands can enter the mirror dimension, putting them at a massive disadvantage. If he wanted to, he could only allow half of one's body to enter the dimension. All these options pretty much gives him free reign to kill his opponents uninterrupted. An added bonus is that only those Illusio is targeting can see the stand in the mirror, so anyone else will see no threats. It doesn't matter if you break the reflective surfaces. Not only will Illusio survive, but he now has more outlets to channel his power. Now Babyface is technically two stands in one. The first stand is a laptop, which allows Melon to monitor and interact with the second stand, Junior. Babyface has the ability to create a powerful remote type stand to send towards opponents. The process in which this is done is interesting to say the least. First, Melon needs to observe a woman. He gathers data about her age, health, blood type, horoscopes, and sex position. If all the females' data is compatible, he implants them with Babyface's child. It's not sexual or anything, it's more like a parasite than an actual child.
About time.
If the data doesn't match, he moves on to another person.
Back to formula.
The baby forms around the female's head and is otherwise formed pretty quickly. After a quick training session, it then sent towards its intended targets. Junior is one of the stands born from this process. It seems to have a mind and personality of its own, but its abilities are extremely powerful. Junior has the ability to break down matter into cubes. These cubes can be manipulated and transformed into anything, such as tables or cabinets. Junior can use these cubes to dismember opponents or quickly avoid threats by dispersing himself or transforming into aspects of the surrounding environment. Stands created by Babyface have the capacity to grow and learn independently from their users, making them either a huge threat or asset, depending on how you look at them. The Grateful Dead is a stand that accelerates aging. By releasing a gas into a wide area, it slowly starts to quicken the aging process of all living things, and not just body, but mind as well. A variety of things will start to occur, such as massively decreased stamina, strength, and speed obviously. Your teeth and hair will also start to fall out. It's not far-fetched to say that Grateful Dead's aging ability can force older age-related diseases onto you, such as back pain and hearing loss. If Grateful Dead touches you, it can massively accelerate your aging even faster than the gas, making the stand a deadly opponent to battle. The stand user is immune to the aging, but can also use it on himself to trick opponents. The rate of aging on individuals depends on their bodily temperature, so some age much faster than others. Consuming or rubbing ice on yourself also halts the ability. It seems stands are immune to the aging, as they can also become weaker as a result. Beach Boy is a fishing rod that has many powerful abilities. Not only is the fishing rod powerful, being able to dart around a room and lift objects, but the fishing line can also phase through objects, allowing for many surprise attacks. The fishing line is used to search for enemies around a wide area, and once it finds them, it hooks onto them and can be either pulled towards Pesci or ripped to shreds. The sharp end of the line slowly moves towards the heart or brain of those it hooks onto. The line is pretty much invincible, as any damage caused to it will be simply reflected onto those it's hooked. Since it's extremely sensitive, Pesci can use the line to detect nearby enemies by reading their heartbeats or vibrations they may cause. He can feel anything that touches the line and is fully capable of analyzing the weight of people or objects it's touching. White Album's ability is dramatically dropping the temperature of anything it touches. When his fists make contact with any object, they will be immediately frozen like ice. This applies to all things whether living or dead. Water can be frozen immediately, and freezing individuals makes it so they have difficulty moving. It also threatens the functions of the internal organs. Limbs can be frozen entirely and broken off. Objects can be frozen so much that they immediately start to fall apart. The Ice White Album forms can also be shaped and formed into weapons and objects. To close the distance, White Album allows a user to skate around as if they were on an ice rink. This is fast enough to catch up to speeding cars. When it comes to defensive capabilities, White Album can freeze projectiles in place before they reach. Unlike most stands, White Album is one of the few that fully covers the body of its user, allowing it to protect its user from harm, like Wood Experience's Stand Barrage, which had previously been shown to heavily damage opponents. Physical objects aren't the only things that can be frozen. The air's temperature can be lowered enough to create floating ice sheets that reflect projectiles away. Metallica is a colony-type stand that manipulates metals, specifically iron most of the time. Risotto can freely control the iron in the ground or in the air and gathers them up to create any metallic object you can think of. Since iron can be found almost everywhere on the planet, even in microscopic portions, he basically has infinite possibilities for his ability. Since iron can be found within the human body, that's what Risotto uses as his main form of attack. By manipulating the iron in the human body, Metallica can force a variety of sharp metals to fly out of the body, like razor blades, needles, and even a giant pair of scissors. This has the capacity to be an instant kill move to your average man. A large enough sharp object can even be created that severs human limbs entirely. Since he's taking iron from the human body, that has its own side effects. Since the body begins to lose the ability to carry oxygen to the brain, the human body slowly starts to die. Risotto does all this from a good distance, since his stand has a great amount of range. Even then, he can turn himself invisible just by attaching iron particles to his body, which reflects all incoming light. I'm sure most of you have noticed that these stands are built for quiet assassinations. Grateful Dead can kill you with a natural human process. Man in the Mirror can drag you into an empty mirror dimension. And Little Feet can make you so small they can kill you with just one stomp. It's no wonder Bruno and his squad needed to stay cautious around them, as they fully had the capacity to wipe them all off the map.
アリーベ・デルチ